Okay, I'm picking up with homework number 2, problem number 1. This is NCS 45541, and I'll just move on down here to part C. This is problem 2, part C. And let's see, here it's asking us to write down the subnet ID, first and last IP host addresses, and the broadcast address for each of these 3 subnets from part A. So we're going to use the first 3. /26 subnets of our Class C network. Okay. Okay, so this is our Class C is the private IP address 192.168.10.0. That's where we started, and basically what we're doing is we're using that last octet as host addresses, and so all of our IP addresses are going to start with 192.168.10, and they're going to vary after that. And so what I do is I make my little chart here. We have 64, so I'm going to count, and so I need 4 subnets, and I'm going to count by 64. 120 plus 64 is 192, 256. And then I'm going to fill in, so I counted by 64, I filled in the subnet IDs. I subtract 1 to get my broadcast addresses. And then I simply fill in the host addresses 0 to 1, 62 to 63, 64 to 65, 126 to 127, 128 to 129, 190 to 191, 193, and then 254. And so you can see here then that my IP addresses for subnet number 1 let's see, the ID, the first, the last, and then the broadcast. We'll write down all 4 of these addresses for subnet number 1, and it's going to be 192.168.10.0, 192.168.10.1, and then dot 62, and then dot 63. And I'm going to stop writing the first 3 octets. For subnet number 2, it's dot 64, dot 65, dot 126 and 127. Maybe it's just as easy to fill in these numbers in this chart as it was to fill those same numbers in over here. And then for number 3, we're going to go to 128.129 and .191. Oops. .191 and .190. And if we were to use the 4th one, which it doesn't ask you for, but it would start at .192 as the ID, 193 as the first, 254 as the last, and 255 as the broadcast. Okay, and so hopefully from this chart it's very clear that we've just stopped writing the 192.168.10. Okay, finally for part D, so that's how you write down all of these addresses for these subnets. Finally, for part D, it says it is possible using the same Class C with variable subnet mask to handle 100 users in the very first one. And what I'm going to do then is draw this picture. So we want 100, 50, and 50 users. And what I'm going to draw is conceptually what we're going to do is we're going to break our 256 in half. And then in half again and again. So I have 256 here, I've got 128 here, 64 and 32. And this is a slash 24, slash 25. I encourage you to work on making these little charts on your own with a blank piece of paper. And what we're looking for is 100 addresses in one and then 2 50s. And it turns out we can do that because we have 128 in the first half of our block. And then we've got, we can break the second block up into 2 pieces of 64. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to use a single slash 25 and then 2 slash 26s. Okay? So the answer is use a slash 25 for 100 users and 2 slash 26s for 50 and 50 users. Okay, and it asks you all the same questions for the addresses. And so what we'll do is we'll make a little chart here that says the ID, the first, the last, and then the broadcast. And we'll make a little chart for number 1, and that's going to be a slash 26, numbers 2 and 3. Okay, and we're going to use all the full range here. And I can just go back up and use the same chart, except for the first one is going to span from 0 all the way up to 127. So it's going to be dot 0, dot 1, dot 126, and dot 127. Number 2 is going to start at 128, go to 129, and then it's going to jump up only up to 190 and 191. Number 3 is going to start at 192. First address is going to be 193. Last usable address is 254, and broadcast is 255. So this is our slash 26, and both of these are slash, oh, that's our slash 25. Both of these are slash 26s. So there's the solution. Hope that's clear.